couldn't get out of bed. Also, I've learned the benefits of these exercises, but we'll do that in another edition of Dr. VTV, where you get exercises that help you sleep. But these ones are mainly to give you some energy for when you're really, really exhausted, and you don't need much. You can do all of it in your bed with some blankets as props, and some exercises you will see we will do with the help of a chair. Basically what we want to do is to calm down your sympathetic nervous system, so your mind and body connection gets restored and your healing can begin. That's basically a simple version of it, but feel free to add with that bed. Yeah? So, what do we start with?
Okay. What I would suggest is if we start with a seated exercise, where we start by finding a comfortable seated posture, and then from there we can move into a neck sequence, where we can look at actually getting a little bit of space and movement through the muscles of the neck. So if we start there, that would be good.
I'm not in the way. Yeah, probably not. Okay. Do you want me to sit here?
I want you to sit here.
Okay, let's put the camera this way. Sit on the bed?
Yeah, so if you sit on this little sack of blankets, and essentially what we're looking for is a comfortable seated position where you can cross your legs. I want you to be sat quite firmly on the blankets.
And there?
Yeah, and then we're going to pop a rolled up blanket around your feet to support your legs. So again, what we're doing is we're taking as much of the activity out of the posture as is possible.
So what is really cool is I've never done this exercise before, so you really have to explain it to me like first timer.
Yeah, okay.
So that's good, because it will help other people.
Yeah. So what we're looking for here is we're looking for a comfortable seated position that you may be able to hold for a little while. It could be initially a couple of minutes. It could be over time that you can build up to hold in this position as a position that you might want to meditate at some point in the future. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an extra blanket too.
What's the benefit
of the blanket?
No, what's the benefit? This is to make me more comfortable. But the benefit of this posture is...
Essentially, it's a posture that you can use to find a nice quiet space within yourself, so you can actually focus on what's happening on the inside rather than focus on the outside. So what we'll find as we're working in this room is that we get traffic noise, we get noise from the pedestrian crossing. This beautiful room, but it's having that sense where you feel sufficiently comfortable that you can tune out of the external noises.
Beautiful. So
that's the way.
Yeah, I love it when I come in here straight after work and you're so hectic and you have the monkey mind going and then you go and in this deep relaxation and I just feel so much better after.
Yes, so if I get you to take that away, and then if you just move away from our little platform back. These blankets are a little bit soft for what we're doing, so we'll just try that and see whether or not that works. If not, we can replace them with some blocks. Yeah. So it's the idea that we're not putting any pressure through the muscles of the legs, so everything can relax. And essentially, this just takes some of the pressure away from holding the position. So we're looking for, if we get it right, we get a nice sort of back position where we've got the natural curve in the spine. We've got the shoulders sort of coming. So if you imagine being against the wall and roll your shoulders up and round. Lovely. Hands perfect. Just have them either gently sort of upwards or downwards. It's whatever's more comfortable for you. Keep your head is stacked. Head and neck are stacked beautifully. Chin's in, that's great. So in effect, what we can do as you're sat here is if you just gently close your eyes and just sort of sort of check as to whether you can find any parts of the body that's kind of screaming out saying that it doesn't like sitting, doesn't like sitting there. So what we'll do is maybe move that around a little bit. And sometimes there's a little bit of work that we have to go through in order to get past the point of the muscle saying, I don't want to be here, because it's just not used to being there.
What's completely different from all other exercise, I feel, is in other exercise you're expected to push yourself past the pain level, while this is avoiding pain, because pain causes stress to the body, and we don't want any more stress we have in our body. So.
No, if you've got enough stress in the body already, the idea is to find a posture, find a position where you can actually you can come away from the pain. So it's that whole idea, sort of the hips in particular. The hips can store emotion, so it's that whole idea about what in the hips is keeping things tight. And if you have that opportunity to be able to relax down, maybe sort of over the time that you spend in the posture, that the knees start to drop away. That would be great, but when you start, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. So it's just starting to see what's appropriate and what works. And the supports are actually really good because, again, sort of so many times people would come into a position and think, well, I've got to sit on the floor and their knees are up by their chests and their arms are down here and they're rigid. And it's just sort of starting to find that place where you feel like I can relax. So for me, it's maybe sitting on 2 or 3 blocks. We're using blankets because not everybody will have yoga props at home.
I just want to move that a bit because you're not in the camera.
So what
is this called, this position?
It is supported svastikasana. So it's a supported seating pose. So if we have the legs further apart, it would be sukhasana. But by having the legs close together, we've got our cross of the legs.
Is it some sort of half lotus position?
Half lotus would be the legs up here, but half lotus isn't necessarily.
That is not in the picture.
Isn't necessarily accessible for everybody.
Yeah, twist it a bit more. Turn it a bit more. Yeah, that's better.
So something like half lotus. If you're
a little bit backwards too.
We wouldn't necessarily want to show people half lotus immediately because even for me, and I've been practicing yoga for quite a while, it's something that doesn't necessarily work because of the makeup of my hip joint. So having a comfortable seated position is actually a nice simple seated position. Even the position that you're in at the moment, people may not think it's wholly comfortable all the time, but it's just that idea about finding that comfortable place where you can sit, where you can get in tune with your body is actually really helpful.
Yeah, because the good thing about these restorative poses is also that you can do it when you had an injury. Yeah. And I actually had a hip injury, and I had to stop playing tennis and all the things that I love because I had too many injuries. So this is so happy that this is something I can do without like getting information again from overdoing things. So even people with chronic disease can do this.
Well, that's what I say. It's sort of something which is simple because, as you were saying about the whole idea about a monkey mind, is this is the sort of pose that you can come into at the start of a restorative practice to check out what's going on in the mind, going through that processing sort of sequence in order to put that to one side so you could focus maybe on a restorative practice. To say this one for me it's lovely and it's taken me years to sort of find a comfortable seated posture, and this is sort of part of my journey of finding somewhere.
I was never comfortable before because I didn't know you were allowed to use a prop or a pillow. I thought we have to do it, and as normally it's painful, but I'm so happy that this is comfortable so you can really relax.
Yeah, so it's that whole idea that if you don't feel comfortable, whatever you're doing, there's going to be tension because you just can't relax down. So it's that whole idea about find that comfortable seat. If you find a comfortable seat, then the exercises that we can add on are actually really useful, because it means that you can focus on what you're doing, as opposed to thinking, sitting and your mind's just going through the process. Oh, my hips hurt, and everybody else in the room seems to be able to do it. And it's that whole idea about sort of take away some of the pain, and you can actually...
But I prefer the one that you normally start with, where you can lie in bed pose with the pillows on the eyes. That's my favourite. I'm like, oh yeah, I can have a nap.
Yeah, we can get onto that one later. So, if we wanted to do some neck exercises, and just sort of check how the shoulders are feeling, check if the shoulders feel relaxed, and then there's a simple sequence that we've been doing in some of the classes, and it's where we take the chin down to the breastbone and then back up. We take the ear to the shoulder. I normally get that one the wrong way around. So ear to shoulder and then back to centre. Do that both sides. Turn the head first to the right, then to the left, and then we can make some circles with the head. But I can
Is it important that you put the chin forward first?
No, you want your chin tucked in.
Oh,
so you're keeping the back of the neck long by keeping the chin tucked in. So if you put your chin forward, you're putting out a little bit of extra stress through the cervical vertebrae. So I keep the chin in. Other people may say different things.
Because most people who have stress have very tense shoulders and necks. So that's why I really like this exercise. I feel that there's a lot of tension there, and these kind of moves can help you to make it a little bit more loose.
Well, it's that whole idea about getting the head away from the shoulders as much as you can. So if we do a couple of rounds, just sort of check in on some of the breathing. So if we start with the chin to the breastbone, the collarbone, the breastbone. So we move down on the exhale. So we would exhale, chin down to the breastbone. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, chin down. Inhale, come back up. You could start by doing this maybe 5 times, and build up to maybe sort of to 10, which is sort of one of the sequences. And it's actually moving with the breath is really quite relaxing. So it's got a meditative quality, which is quite nice. Just take a couple more. Okay, so we're going to take the ear to the shoulder now. So again, moving on the exhale, so we take right ear to right shoulder, back to centre. Exhale. Left ear to left shoulder, over back to the right, and the key thing that you're doing, which is great, is you're not bringing your shoulder up to meet your ear, which is one of the things that you can do.
That's a very good stretch for people who work at the computer the whole day.
It is, yeah. Okay, so if we just do one more round of that. So again, it's one of those things, start even with sort of with 1 or 2 rounds, build up to maybe 5, do that for a while, and then add on, maybe come up to maybe 10 rounds. So that's 20 rounds of breathing, sort of doing it on the left and the right. So now if we take the head to the right and then the head to the left. So again, we move on the exhale, so head to the right, back to centre, head to the left, back to centre. This one's my favourite.
I can imagine people who are watching this will think this is not exercising.
Exactly.
But I feel it pulling so much in my muscles.
Yes.
It feels like exercise to me.
Yeah. I think when I first saw parts of the sequence and introduced it, I thought, well, will people just think that they've been cheated out of a yoga class because you're making people bend their feet upwards and down, or you're making them move their head from side to side, but it's really useful. Okay, so to do circles, the thing that we want to make sure is that we don't fling our heads back. So again, we start with the chin down to the breastbone. So we're taking the chin across the collarbone to the right. Look up towards the ceiling. And then down to the left. So if we do maybe 3 in each direction to show people how it looks. And you might hear some little creaks in the back of the neck as you move in your neck. So we'll take that the opposite way, so left side first. So it's chin across the left collarbone and to the right. And then second round. So I don't know about how it felt for you, but it felt like this little rain going down the back.
It's actually less than before I started.
That's good.
Cracking has become less released.
That's the whole idea, yeah, it is. It's this whole idea about sort of being a wind releasing sequence, and it's that thing about if you work with the joints and actually get sort of the wind out of the joints. That's the whole idea. So those are our neck exercises. So it's just maybe sort of take a couple of breaths with your eyes closed and just check in on how you feel now you've done that.
Well, my mind is calm, and emotionally I'm calm. I'm aware that I do have a lot of tension in my shoulders and my upper back. As is typical for people who have an unbalanced work, family life. It's a stress where you feel like you have responsibilities at work as well as at home. Trying to keep everybody happy, and it weighs heavy.
It's that idea, and I was talking to somebody earlier, and she was saying there's the expression, the weight of the world on your shoulders, and it's come from somewhere. So it's that whole idea about.
I'm sure I'm not the only one. It's very common.
Okay. So what we're going to move on to now is to move into child's pose. So if we come round to one side, bring the knees round to one side, just check how your hips are feeling now you've been sat for a little while.
Looser.
Good. Good. And what we've got here is we've got the opportunity to use the blankets in different ways, just to check out whether there's anything that needs to be propped, because again it comes back to that the issue that if we find space, we want to fill the space, because if there's space then we can't fully relax. So it may be that, and I think I've seen you do child's pose, and you do child's pose beautifully, but it's that whole idea about, well, what if today sort of a knee's tight? So for me, my left knee's tight today, so what I would do is I would pop the blanket in the back of my legs.
Yeah, also
I can still feel like.
Because I also have a knee injury, and that's the good thing about this pose is if you do it like this, you can do it after injuries and after knee surgery.
Absolutely.
So it's a really good form of
so again, something like that is that you could either use the rolled up blanket that you've got already and sit back. So we've got the big toe joints together, so the knees out to the side. And sort of sitting back onto the heels. And again, that looks great. So what we want to think about now is how we want to come forward and how close to the ground we want to end up. So if you walk your hands forward,
my arms supposed to be back?
No. It's different things. We're going to look at sort of things in different ways. So we're going to keep the back down to the floor. And again, sort of the sorts of things that we could do, if you bring your head up and pop it onto the blanket.
Yeah, that's a lot more relaxed.
So I'm just going to try one more and just see how that feels.
Good, thank you.
So it may be that that's appropriate, it may be that that's a little bit high, and if it's a little bit high, what we do is just drop the height of the blankets.
Yeah.
So what we can do there, if you lift your head up, I'm just going to take that blanket across both hands. Again, the other thing about restorative yoga is making sure that you stay warm while you're doing it, because if you're in a posture for a little bit of time, you don't want the sort of the external pressure of thinking, oh, I've got to go and turn the air conditioning down, or I've got to turn the heating up. So it's just working out what works for you, and making sure that you stay warm. So again, it's just taking out another of those factors that has a role in ensuring that you stay comfortable. So with this is a posture that you could stay in again, maybe sort of five minutes, if not a little bit longer.
How about arms?
Your arms can be forward, they can be back. They need to be in a position that feels comfortable for you. So it all depends on what's going on for you around in the shoulder joint. So it's whether it's more comfortable for them to be forward, or whether it's more comfortable for them to be back.
All right.
So I'm just going to show you a different variation of this, where we build ourselves a little. So if we've got pillows, stack of blankets lying around.
Yeah, that's a good thing, is that people don't need to go buy anything extra for this.
No.
Because you have blankets and pillows at home in any case.
Yeah. So what we're going to do with that is, if we had a bolster, this would be our bolster in yoga. So what we get to do, I'll show you this first, is that we're back in child's pose. My bum's going to be a little bit in the air because my left knee's feeling a bit sensitive. We've got our little stack either side of the knees. Stretch through the back, walk forward, and we rest down. So we can take the head to one side or to the other. And essentially what we've got is we've got the stack of blankets, which is filling that little hole where the belly can rest. Got the arms forward and the head turned, as I say, either one side or to the other.
And this is called the child pose because you find babies in their cradle often in this position because it's so comfortable.
Yeah. So these blankets are a little bit soft, so if you've got little firmer blankets that would be great, but it's a matter of actually working with what you've got rather than thinking about having to go out and get stuff.
Yeah, I feel it's really relaxing me between the shoulder blades.
Yeah. Because there's always different variations with yoga postures. And it's that whole idea about finding that position where you feel comfortable. So the one thing, because your upper body's a little bit higher, your hips have come a little bit away from your heels. So it's just sort of checking out. Again, whether there's that little bit of space that you can relax down.
Very nice.
Yeah, so once you've done maybe sort of, and again it's that thing, you start with maybe sort of 5-10 breaths, so rounds of breath, and then over time it's build it up so you can spend maybe sort of 2-3 minutes on one side, 2-3 minutes on the other, and just sort of seeing where you can go with it rather than being constrained by time or saying this is a 5-breath posture. So yeah, so that's supported child's pose. So we're going to go, because we've folded forward, we're going to
Fall back.
do a back bend now. Now, it's interesting because when we're talking about a back bend, again, this might not look like it's much, But it
works.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. So what we can do is we can work with these blankets again. I'll just see whether or not they're firm enough, because what I was trying before you came in was looking at the posture with the blocks. So what we've got here is it's 4 blankets. And I'll just show you this one first. So we sit on our blankets. I think these are a little bit soft actually, it might not have the whole effect. And we're aiming to get the tip of the shoulder blades off the blankets, feet on the blankets. So we would have moved the pelvis away, rolled the shoulders back and round, and then we're lying down. So we've got the shoulders on the floor, we've got the head on the floor, we've got the arms out to the side, we've got a little bit of space. We haven't got anything in the way that stops us from relaxing. And as you said, sort of with some of the neck exercises, this looks like we're doing nothing, but it's an exquisite back bend. It's just really, really lovely. To say this is the version that we would do with the blanket. I'm going to get you to work with some of the yoga blocks just to see how it feels for your shoulders.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite positions then.
So the only complicated thing that you have to do in the whole thing is to figure out where the bottom of your shoulder blades are.
And are they just on the edge?
Yeah, so the bottom of the shoulder blade wants to be just on the edge of the block.
Okay. And is that an elegant way of sitting down?
And there's quite a lot of shuffling around with this as well, so you're a little bit high there at the moment because you've got that right at the top of the shoulders. So I want you to shuffle back as elegantly as you can. And a bit more. So it would be level with just about where the bra strap would come.
Yeah. You want me to go a bit higher? Because this feels really good. This feels like a really good stretch there.
Okay, so I'm just going to I'm going to turn that block round and pop your feet on this block. How does that feel?
It's doing something, but I actually like it down a little bit.
The guy that I was training with over the weekend, he was saying that you start to look for people's happy face. It's that idea where you just sort of see things relax on the face. And it's that whole idea, it's if you get a happy face, then it means that
they're doing it right.
Everything's okay. So again, it's once you're in the posture, it's this whole idea that it's a very gentle back bend. So you've got the hips supported, you've got the back supported, you've got the shoulders that are off the blocks. So one thing that you might want to do is to bring your elbows in and press your elbows into the ground. Lift up the front of your chest, not your head, keep your head on the floor.
Okay.
Lift up the front of the chest and then relax down. Arms down. Just going to bring those out a little bit. So just getting that little bit of space. And then while you're here, we can do a little bit of breathing work because it's such a good chest opener. It's really quite useful to get the lungs sort of working effectively.
So for adrenal breathing, I work mainly with
the belly. Yeah, that's perfect. So what I would suggest is that we start with a little bit of Samavriti breathing, which is equal length breathing, and then we can start to move to extend the exhalation.
So it means like 4 counts in and 4 counts out.
So for you, it may be 4 counts in, 4 counts out to start with. As somebody who's maybe sort of been sick for a while, it could be 2 counts in, it could be 2 counts out. So there's nothing that officially says it's going to be 4 in and 4 out.
Yeah.
It's working out what works for your breath.
And also not to hold it.
Not at all, not at all.
Just
So
go
it's,
from in to out.
yeah, exactly. So it's that whole idea that we want to see the belly rising up towards the ceiling on the inhale and falling back down towards the spine on the exhale. And simply by focusing on what the belly's doing, is that it's just that sense of calm that comes with it. So once you start to tune in on the breath, then what you can do is to start to look at things like the quality of the breath. So it's whether, as you're breathing, you can feel tension in any particular parts of the body, whether you feel like you're doing a full inhalation or an exhalation. So sometimes the inhalation comes short and gets stuck in the upper chest. Sometimes the exhalation can be a little bit short. And for adrenal breathing, and for moving from the sympathetic to parasympathetic nervous system state, we want to see whether or not we can get the breath. So we start with it, so it's equal length with Samavriti breathing, and then we move on to ratio breathing, where we double the length of the exhalation relative to the inhalation. So if you feel happy with the way your breath is at the moment, you can start to see whether you can lengthen the exhalation. So,
and the good thing about adrenal breathing is, the belly breathing, is that you massage the organs, right?
Absolutely.
Including the kidneys, including the adrenal glands, which is what you need for energy.
The key thing for me is that whole idea about getting the diaphragm moving, because for so long you're told to sort of hold everything in and sort of wear belts and sort of tight clothes, and then you actually think, you know what, it's really uncomfortable. And it's just that idea that you want to make space.
Is this some form of supported fish pose?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So essentially, if we were to do fish pose, we could come up onto the top of the head. Whereas what we're doing now, this is more of a supported bridge pose.
Okay.
But we need the props higher. And again, something like supported fish pose isn't necessarily something that you would want to do if you've not been feeling very well. It's that whole idea of sort of putting the pressure onto the crown of the head. So this is actually a really gentle way of starting to focus on the breath and starting to get a little bit of movement through the spine, through a back bend.
Very good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hard work.
So what we're going to do?
So the good thing is that most of these exercises you can do in your bedroom. You don't have to get out, you don't have to go to the gym.
Yeah.
I'm not against going to the gym, but sometimes people are too tired to get there.
Absolutely.
Right? So
Absolutely.
this is just the start for those people who are bedridden and who are just too tired.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is that we're going to do a supported bending position. So this would be called legs. People would call this legs up the wall.
Yeah.
And again, sometimes legs up the wall might be just that little bit too much in the first instance. So if I pop this on the mat, and I'll show you what we would do. Getting covered in fluff. So as we would come into legs up the wall, we'd sit sort of side on and then run the legs round. Bring yourself down to the floor. And it's one of these postures that, again, it's just so simple that you think, it's this exercise. But what it's doing is that it's actually allowing the heart to slow down. So you could just stay here. It all depends on sort of leg angles. It could be that you want to elevate the hips a little bit. So we could use a block, we could use a blanket.
It is specifically useful for people with bad circulation, because all the blood with gravity will now come out of the legs. Like people have problems with varicose veins and all of that, and heavy legs, they will feel so good in this position.
Yeah, so even sort of for people who've got things like edema, it's really quite useful, because I think, don't quote me on this one obviously, but it's the idea that it promotes lymphatic drainage.
Absolutely.
So I was just thinking you know more about this than me.
As well as the blood, also the venous return of the blood, which also means that blood can now get better oxygenation. Because if you stand up the whole time, it sits in your legs if you don't have good circulation. This time the blood will go to the heart, to the lungs, get more oxygen, and your brain gets more oxygen. Which I know from ophthalmology also helps in people who have some form of glaucoma where the eye nerve is not getting enough oxygen. This is particularly good for that.
Okay. So if you want to try that.
I'm sure I can handle that.
I'll see whether or not I can clamp an eye pillow. I normally have some somewhere. So I'm just going to pop an eye pillow over your eyes. And the thing that's actually really good about eye pillows is that they allow an inward focus. So it's that whole idea that you can switch off from the outside world and just focus on what's going on within your body.
It's really one position after a hard day at work.
Yeah. So this is an absolute classic restorative yoga posture. So again, one of the things, if you just lift your hips up really, I'm just going to pop a blanket under there and just bring your hips back down and just check how that feels. So again, some of the things that are important are making sure that you try different versions. So it could be that the blanket is more comfortable, it may be that the blanket's less comfortable, but it's not thinking that yoga postures are an exact science. It's finding out what's comfortable for you and not worrying about sort of what someone on Instagram would look like. There's some really inspirational people.
Oh yeah, there's some beautiful photos out there.
Beautiful.
I've seen this also, when people put their legs here to open the femoral.
Oh right, okay.
Opening. Is that why?
Yeah, well one of the things that you can do, and again if you were against the wall for example, if you're against the wall, you could prop foot against the wall and bring, we'll just take that chair out of the way.
This one stopped. Poor internet connection. It has been sending out the whole time, so it's something. So, I think we're almost done for the
Yes, the one thing that I was going to say is that I know you had the alternate nostril breathing. At the moment it's whether or not we come back to that on another occasion. I think that would be correct. So legs against the wall. If you take sort of one one foot onto the wall and then the opposite leg across, that's a really good stretch through for the hips. But it's also, as you say, sort of if you're opening up.
It's this open here where the femoral artery runs through.
Right.
Yeah, it also that you have better, it helps the circulation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna also try that because I feel like I've done enough exercise. I can go home after this.
I might let you. Depends whether you want to come back later. And then, of course, obviously, if you do it on the left, you've got to do it. If you do it on the left, you've got to do it on the right. And invariably, what you find is that one side's tighter than the other. So you kind of work with it rather than thinking that it's a problem, because it's just there and it's part of reality.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, this is not power yoga. This is not for, as you said, beautiful photos of spectacular stances.
Yeah.
This is for people who have been wounded or have low energy.
Yeah.
To give them the start to a little bit of more energy.
Exactly. It's the idea. And even 5 minutes in this posture, it's just, it's delicious. It's just the idea that you've got, it may even feel indulgent to start off with. It's that whole idea that you can spend the time and just allow things to relax. So if I just show you,
it's good quality me time, because I always preach people should go from no time to me time, and this is a way to do it.
And then this would be legs up the wall. And you don't even need your yoga mat to do this. It's that whole idea is that just find that little bit of wall space in your bedroom, and whether you put we've used the chair, you can put your legs onto the side of a bed. It's just working out what you've got and how you can use resourcefulness. Yoga is resourcefulness.
That's why it's so easy to do for people at home.
Yeah, exactly. And there are different practices that you can do which make things a little bit more precise. But when you're first starting off and you've not been feeling particularly well, it's that whole idea about doing a little bit of something rather than thinking that everything's got to be perfect and wanting to feel well enough. It's that whole idea about find a class,
and it does make you feel better. It absolutely does. You have a little bit more energy every day, and you can build up slowly. Yeah. It's like Rome wasn't built in a day.
Absolutely.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
That principle.
Yeah.
As long as people can get started with something, it's already a huge step forward.
Exactly. So.
All right, I think we can round up. Or did you have another?
No, I think that's
exercise or message.
Little and often would be the message, is that yoga isn't having to go to a class and spending 45 minutes, an hour and a half at a class. Yoga can be 5 minutes tuning in on the breath. It could be one posture, if you saw any of the postures that you like the look of. It's just trying something and just seeing whether or not it makes you feel better in doing it.
Okay.
Do the posture, do a bit of breath work, and people all come together.
But we're here now in the Carlisle Therapy.
Yeah.
Is it called the centre?
Yeah.
Therapy centre, where there are yoga classes for people like me who have to take it slowly, but also for more advanced people who want that.
Yeah.
And you have a lot more possibilities in this centre for acupuncture and Thai massage.
There's massage, there are counsellors, there's quite a range of different therapies available here.
Yeah, and you're in Carlisle, so I'm very happy that I found you here.
That's good.
And I'm Dr. Veerle van Tricht, and I'm mainly available online. I do one-on-one coaching, group coaching workshops, and I've written 2 books. One is to get the power back in your own health, and the second one is from exhausted to excited with life again, and that is mainly for people who are on the verge of burnout, who are coming out of burnout, because I am quite an expert in that field, as I've been there myself, and I've researched it very, very, very broadly, and have developed a holistic program with 6 modules and 6 steps to get your mojo back. So, thank you, Pam, for giving this demonstration. And it was very relaxing for me.
Good. Thank you. Glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah.